All right. Hello from the city of London. This is the Serotonin podcast where we inspire you to action your 3Gs to grow, glow, and go for your passions. Today I have an amazing guest with me. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Etienne Soumoy. How can I introduce myself?
Who are you, Etienne? How would you
I think
introduce yourself?
at the moment I'm profoundly a dad. It takes a lot of energy and time on myself, on my side. I would say I'm a traveler, so someone very curious about cultures, about people.
Okay.
I'm a consultant, someone who likes challenges, identifying issues and trying to find a solution for the greater goods. And I try to be a person that is contributing to creating a better world.
Nice. And you say at the moment you're profoundly a dad.
Yes.
But I guess beyond these types of roles, if you think about yourself, like you, Etienne, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, who are you truly?
It's very rare that I give myself the right to think about me and who am I, what I want to do. Um, um, I think I'm profound. When I talk about dad, that's really something that springs to mind because that's, of course, every day I go back home. This is my life after work. Um, I've got a passion for helping others. That's why when we started to have this conversation about what are the topics that you want to talk about, I thought about coaching. That's really something that struck me when I was in my early 30s. And it's been something I've been doing for myself. As I'm a coachee and a coach as well, and I really love this idea of continuous improvement and opening your eyes about life in general.
How did you get into coaching? What inspired you? How
Yeah.
did you first hear about it?
So back in 2007 or 8, there was the financial crisis in the US. So the world was kind of shaking a little bit, like the economy was slowing down. And in my previous company, when I was in consulting, they said don't want to fire anyone because we know it's going to be temporary, but we're going to give 12 months to anyone that comes to us with a project, and we're going to fund this project. So basically, you can get just a small pay cut, but then for 12 months you can do your own stuff, your own venture. So my former senior manager left, went to become a certified coach.
Oh.
And I said, I really love this topic, but what is coaching? And he said, so explain it to me. And I said, I want to be your guinea pig. I want to see from a kind of I want to have conversations with you, so we can talk about personal development. We started with a kind of a professional angle. So how can you help me better engage with my customers, manage the team better, and progressively you always start kind of identifying. So what is this the root cause of that behavior? Uh, and I found it was really eye opening, and it made me realize that that's something I really love, and I can be really good at because I started using the same methodology without claiming I was a coach. But okay, there's kind of open question, challenging question that you can ask to anyone. When you're a leader, when you're a manager, you don't want just to tell people what to do because you want them to scale. So you need to find the right balance between getting things done, but also making sure the team or anyone you interact with is learning from that experience about to make sure that they grow the muscle themselves and so they can do it themselves in the future. So yeah, I was kind of always trying that for a few years, and then 3 years ago, in my previous company, they said we are creating that kind of coaching culture across the organization, and I was nominated to be part of the first cohort to be an internal coach, and that led me to actually use my education budget to become a certified coach.
Really?
That I exercise as a side hustle with my customers.
And Etienne, if you were to define coaching in like a short sentence for someone who's never heard about it before, how would you define it? How would you explain it?
Yeah. For me, coaching, when you work with a coach, you are expecting to accelerate your thinking to solve a problem. If I don't know if it's the best definition, but for me, that's how I felt it. Um, it's and usually when you're in coaching, people say, "Oh, so what's your methodology?" Let's face it, it's usually deep listening, caring about the other person, and holding the mirror. And I really love this analogy of holding the mirror. It's not about you, what you think. We all have our biases, but it's really about making sure you help the other person understand where they're coming from, how they behave, how they've been wired. It's kind of taking into account all the kind of life experience, and based on what on the problem they're trying to solve, um, forcing them to find solutions that work for them, identifying when there's a gap between what they say, but also how you feel their body is reacting. So, is what you say really true or really resonating with you, or are you just trying to please me, or try to comply with what the society is thinking? So, it's really making going back to what is really applicable, because in the end, coaching is about making sure that you define your problem properly, you narrow it down, you find solutions that work for you, and you ensure it's actionable. The fact that it's actionable is very important, and that separates that makes the difference between coaching and a chit chat that you would have with your friends. And it's really making sure that you when you come to a coach, you want to solve something.
Yeah.
And it's making sure that we are the coach is the accountability partner, making sure that when you say, I commit to myself to doing that to solve my problem, and we've worked on the plan that collectively we think is the best one based on the topic you raised. The plan is for you, and if you don't deliver it, there's probably a reason it needs to be reworked, but eventually you're really pushing a person to think faster, something that could have taken years, or even sometimes you don't even think about. You just you feel the symptom. I don't like it, or it is not working, but you never spend enough time. And we're all very super busy, and you see that with the amount of time you spend with others on social media. So having the airtime, the mental space to think properly about something, and be genuinely reviewing it without any bias, without any emotions, that comes with with the help of a coach.
Yeah. What would you say is the most challenging thing about being a coach, and then about being a coachee? Because you said you're both,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. For me, the where I remember my coaching training. Um,
So you had to do like a whole certification
Yeah,
process.
the certification is actually
Okay.
so you get some theoretical practice and
That's
exchanging with other coaches to kind of practice sessions. But the bulk of it is really that you need to spend at least 100 hours as a coach.
Ah,
Then you need to submit
right.
a
Yeah.
recording to the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, to showcase how you handle a coaching session. And there's kind of a methodology, a script, not a script, but like different categories that you need to comply with. So that's something you don't do overnight. It took
Yeah.
me like 3 years already.
And for these like 100 hours,
Yeah.
did you have your own guinea pig? How you the same way you
Yeah,
were the
yeah,
guinea
yeah.
pig for your old former senior manager?
Exactly. So in my previous company, they were connecting coaches, future coaches, with coachees.
Yeah.
So it was easy to find any customers. And we also had a program called Bring Women Back to Work. So usually women that had a career break for whatever reasons, but usually it's for maternity leave. And after a few years, they want to go back to work. So how can we help them?
Ease the process.
Yeah, is the process, find out about, I mean, you've changed since you had your last job. So what would make you happy? Where do you have the skills, and
Yeah.
how can we help you apply and be confident in the way you sell yourself?
Okay.
So yeah, a multitude, and then when I discuss with my customers, also sometimes I explain also what I do as a side hustle, and they are, when you work with customers for a long time, you've got that trust, and working with a coach is very important, because you always claim it's a safe environment, but you need to feel that it's really that there's trust. Nothing's gonna be is gonna get out of the room. You need to understand that the coach is really there, is already here for your best interest. So when there's a challenge, it's really to help you, not to please them. So it's very important to build that relationship. And when you get like long-term customers, some of them have actually reached out and say, I need some help. And what's really interesting is when you start from usually the topic that is tip of the iceberg. You know, I need to manage this. I need to manage a difficult situation. Let's say I need to give feedback to one of my team member. Okay, fine. And then when you start kind of drilling down, so what's holding you back? You know, uh, I don't like to give any negative feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, so your perception that the feedback is negative, yeah, and that's very interesting to kind of unravel what's people's perspective about the role and reframing it. You know,
Yeah.
feedback is about.
And do you feel like you learn a lot from
Oh, it's
hearing the perspective of
it's
people you're
it's
coaching?
massive. That's what I like it. It's not just like I've got a methodology. You can ask these 10 questions, and then at the end of the hour, I look at my watch and say, "Thank you very much, but that's over. Let's meet up next week." It's a conversation,
Mm.
and there's nothing else that is for me as eye-opening than listening to someone else's perspective. Uh, and now I see sometimes I've got this habit of sometimes you need to have closed questions, you know, and especially when you're in sales, so you can't just say, "How about this?" And you need. I mean, are we
Yeah.
going to close it? You know, at some point you need to have a closed question. But my brain now is really worried about making sure to open up the conversation as wide as possible to make sure that the topic we talk about is really the one that's going to help you move forward. And usually when you talk or when you say, "Oh, never had any kind of proper experience with a coach," the first topic I kind of throw is something about, "Oh, I want to change my career. I want to pay rise, or I want." Okay, but why do you want a pay rise? You know, and then when you start, in the end, you need to have 10% more money. Is it really going to change your life? No. What I want is time. Topic is very, so spending time on qualifying what's important for them, for me, is very important, is very key. Once you've got the topic nailed down, the solutions are I would say the easiest.
Mm. And back to my earlier question,
Yeah.
what is challenging about it?
Yeah, so a long detour to a simple question. um
Like genuinely, what do you struggle with as a coach and a coachee?
the So it's actually linked to what I just said. For me, the one of the biggest challenges um, is to understand what the coachee wants to solve.
Okay.
Um, and it's where do you want to stop? I mean, where do I want to stop? You could just accept, uh, you know, simple. I mean, you could say, I want to have a coaching session because I want a pay rise. Okay, fine. How do you gonna get a pay rise? Oh, I need to reach that certain level. Okay, how do you get to demonstrate your skills? So this could be done easily. Usually, these kind of topics don't really excite me. I can do it. I'm good at it, but I really like when you start touching the emotions. You know and it touches your um, how you behave and why you behave this way, and what are your limiting beliefs, limiting factors. And when you start kind of having this conversation, you see the light bulb moment in people.
Yeah.
It takes time. That's why I said it takes a lot of time to qualify. And sometimes you take a topic, you close it, and then say, by the way, is there anything else? Oh yeah, there's about that. So but the more you can the deeper you can dig, the more impactful it's going to be, because it's going to really be about something fundamental that is shaping who you are.
Mm. And when you say that you like maybe less of the negotiation style type of conversations, more emotion based,
Yeah.
does an example come to mind of a specific story or example of a person you were coaching who really, like, you can obviously, if you want, keep it anonymous, but
Yeah.
you really feel like, wow, like this felt the most fulfilling to me as a coach, here guiding this person to having this realization or tackling this limiting belief. Does an example come to mind that you can share with the audience?
Well, that's you catching me off guard. Uh, I'll take this example first, and then I need to think in parallel. But for me, and that's something you usually say, you can't coach your family. That's one of the first principles, though it's very difficult to.
Why?
Because you're emotionally attached. So
Is it
while
the
you
same way? Sorry to cut you off. Is
yeah
it the same way that therapists can't be therapists for
yeah
their family members?
same thing. Because in the solution you need to come with no biases. You need to really listen deeply on what the other person has to say. The way they say the words they choose, that's their choice. I mean, so but when you're involved in their life, it's difficult to say, but no, it's not true. Or by the way, I know. I mean, let's fast forward because I know that your problem is not here. And then the other person is starting to think, so are you mentoring me or are you trying to find a solution because that the topic is impacting you? And then it becomes biased, and therefore it becomes it's not it's different from coaching, though it's very difficult to then apply the coaching method by asking open questions. And I must say, it's been 8 years I'm with my wife. We regularly have, I mean, quarrels because we disagree on things. We come with different backgrounds and stuff. And sometimes it's quite difficult to handle, because you come with your own level of fatigue and stuff. But it's usually when we talk about the kids, when we have um, a discussion about why we want to raise our kids this way, and we come with different points of views, and we can confront and understand where it's coming from, and we drop who we are and why, because there's so many things we do by reflex because we've been educated to think this way by our parents, by school. When do we actually think about what we want to do, or the way we think should be done, but not because they comply with the social norm. And when we have this conversation, it only comes because we ask open question. Why? The why is very important. You need to ask the why at least 3 times. Why are we doing things? But yeah, but why actually are we doing things? And I did that occasionally with my wife, with her agreement that she needs some help, and yeah, it's very moving when we start touching them, when you see the other person reacting, thinking, no one has ever asked me the question. Even myself haven't asked me the question. So it's um, you leave the room with someone thinking, you've opened a little square in my head, something I'd never seen. It was there, but no one had actually shed any light on that topic, that things could be considered differently. I don't really know yet whether that's something I believe is the right thing for me, but at least I know it does exist and I want to consider it. And for me, say, wow, I had an impact more than I've created another deck, I've presented to a customer. That's always good. But when you can touch someone's life, um, that's really cool for me. Another example, and then that's proper coaching. I remember this customer of mine. She came to me through that Bring Women Back to Work program,
Yeah.
and she was saying, "Fine, I need a job in this field and whatever." So we worked on that, and eventually, I made her realize that she didn't want to get a job, and she didn't have to because she had money. She had support from her husband, and what she wanted is basically to make sure that she spent the right amount of time with her son before he was going to university, because she was concerned about time passing, and then him leaving the nest. And I remember when she said, I mean, she wrote back to me thinking, you you might help me reframe the problem that was nagging me. I didn't know what it really was. I thought I had to be kind of self-sufficient and have a job. And you helped me refocus my energy. I know this is where my family actually spend more time. And the job was a means to an end. It was to make me feel I was busy, I was important in the eyes of the society, and I had to fit somewhere. But basically, I fit in my current role as a mom, as a wife, and just enjoy my life, not complying with what others are expecting from me. And say, wow, that's amazing. I mean, I really love it. And we're still in touch, so it's pretty cool.
And with the people you coach, how does the relationship work? Do you have like a cadence to which you meet them?
Yeah.
And does it change over time? How does it work?
So in a proper coaching session, I draft an agreement. So we have a first half hour to kind of get to know one another briefly, and then to understand the topic that they want to talk about. And then, based on my experience, I offer them like I write back. So my understanding of this is that what you're trying to achieve is this, and we need to need to read it and agree that these are the right words. And until we got this approved, I don't start any coaching. Once this is a framework, and we identify what the topic is, but more importantly, what they want to get out of it, then we can work, and it can flex. As I said, it could be a 1 hour session for something super simple, but they are stuck and they need some help. And it can be something that can take a few more sessions. Or sometimes we take pick a topic, they solve it, but then they realize that they've got more topics to cover, and then it becomes you take one, you cover, you fix one, or one is actually leading you to something more important, or the root topic that they want to address. So it's really flexible, I would say. But I always start with an agreement about if this is the topic, this is what we're going to cover. At the end of the day, have we got, can you say that we've covered your topics and it's closed, there's nothing else? If there's anything else, that's part of my duty to continue and make sure the objectives are attained. If I realize the topic has changed, this is where there's like a fork moment where I ask the coachee, do you still want to stick to your original brief,
Okay.
or is it better for now for you to kind of pause it for now, and reframe the problem because you think this has even uncovered that this has got more priority or is more pressing for you. So it's always a conversation, but I want to make sure that they know why we're doing things and what they're gonna get in return. Otherwise, it becomes a conversation.
Yeah. So making sure there's a clear strategic goal
Yeah.
and direction
Something
you're moving
simple,
towards.
very clear, that they understand and agree with.
Yeah. Okay. And with your coaching program, it's your own form of like you're an entrepreneur technically, right? It's
Yeah.
like you started this on your own.
Mhm.
How did you go about that? Like how did you build the program? I'm assuming it's a program. Like, do you have a name for it? How do you market it? Or is it more word of mouth, people you know, word like people tell someone that they know, oh, I know Etienne, he's a coach, XYZ, it leads to a relationship. How do you go about executing it from a business standpoint?
Yeah.
Because I know you wanted to touch on entrepreneurship as well.
So entrepreneurship for me is a mindset that we are all entrepreneurs in what we do. You know, you organize a summer camp when you're at school. You're an entrepreneur. You identify an opportunity, you shape it, you corral the group around it, and then you deliver, and then you promote it. So for me, it's a mindset, and that's if I may take a small detour. When I think of entrepreneurship, that's my kids are 5 and 7, and I really see the difference between the education that I received, and I still see my sisters back in France uh, give to their kids, and mentality here, in Anglo-Saxon world, and especially in the big city. Um, for instance, the other day, my son came to me and said, I want some money. Okay, fine. So, but don't ask for it. How can you get money? And I made him think about, oh, I could, what do I have the skills? What can I do? Where I've seen some examples, and he came up with the idea. Or I helped him think about, you could do a cake bake sale. That's something easy. It can help you with the utensils, the recipes and stuff. And we started having a conversation about, so how much people would buy a piece of cake. What kind of is it better, and how much does it cost you to pay for it? And he's only 7, and his initial reaction was, I don't know, daddy, because he was used to having a teacher or anyone else telling him, you're too young. Learn this. That's we are the adults. We are the authority. Learn, and then
Yeah.
just accept that the fact that people know better for now, and I think it's better in this country. But the traditional mentality is to say you go to school, university, and then potentially you may want to get to start your own business. Well, I mean, it's a bit late. And to just finish off this story, yeah, we had a kind of coaching conversation when I didn't kind of steer him into doing anything. I was just saying, do you want some money? Fantastic. The constraint is that I'm not going to give you any money for free. How can you make money? And so from identifying sources of income, how to get it done, what he needed to actually put in practice. I thought it was a very interesting conversation. I'm trying to kind of develop these skills so that they say, if I want something, I don't need to expect others to give it to me. I can take it. Take it in the sense that,
Resourceful.
yeah, being resourceful. It doesn't mean not taking it in terms of stealing. No, it's really creating new value. You know, like uh, I can work with others, of course. I'm part of an ecosystem of the society, but if I've got an idea, I can build it myself.
Yeah. And how did it make you feel, that experience with Luca, like not coaching, but
It
guiding
was
him to
coaching. I
find the
mean,
answer within
yeah,
himself?
it was the kind of coaching approach because
Yeah, coaching
as the
approach.
parents, it's very easy to just like jump into. We don't have time. Go and lace your shoes. Go and do this. Sometimes you need to stop and say, these moments usually when you relax, we reading a story, it's a bedtime reading, and we talk about this. And the fact that he was, I felt like when he left, we finished the conversation, he felt like he had superpowers. That's amazing. I can get, and he was already thinking about the money he would make. So for him, it was like already a multi-million company. But he knows how to. I think I've helped him create that kind of initial spark about let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's try it. Let's accept potentially that it's going to fail, but let's be resourceful to kind of fix it. You know, and he was already thinking about, so what can I do? What am I going to do with the money? Gonna buy some football cards and stuff for the new year season of the Premier League, whatever. That's his passion. But he had this ambition, and he found the means to address them.
That's incredible. Nice. And what's something you envision? Well, actually, we were talking about entrepreneurship, and you said, I love what you said, that everyone is an entrepreneur. But in terms of your entrepreneurship journey,
Yeah.
what's, I guess, if you were to tell the audience like a key piece of advice of how you've gone about it, what would you share? What's something people need to keep in mind as they're starting their own thing, going about their own passion?
Mm-hmm. So I was an entrepreneur for 4 years. I had my own consultancy, selling my consulting services. I think what the first of all, having a passion really helps because you're true to yourself. You radiate the right energy. People feel it, and it's not a job. It's really what you do is really driving your happiness, success. So I think it's very important to start with something you really love and you're passionate about. Uh, it's about the network. For me, I keep telling that to my wife who's just launched her business. You can have the best website, the best mobile app, and whatever. If you don't connect with people, if you don't regularly go to, I mean, and when I say connect, it can be face to face, a physical person, or sharing your story on a platform. But if you don't really share your story with anyone, we are in a busy world where no one has got time, even your friends. No one has got time to spend on you. So it's about, and the thing for me, it requires stamina because it's a long journey, consistency. You need to communicate regularly, even sometimes you don't want to, but that's this consistency that really helps. It's about thinking about your audience. Uh, it's not about you. It's not about your product. It's really about why would they care, and that's usually the most difficult thing because you don't really understand. I mean, you're passionate about. I mean, things that makes you passionate or excited about, but it's like converting it into something that really resonates with your market, and it's like trial and error for me. It's and testing. There's multiple route to engage with your market. You need to define the one for me that is the best balance between what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and also where that's going to drive an impact on the market. If you don't have these three things, you can throw a lot of energy and a lot of money in kind of creating ads or I mean, I love your podcast, but similarly, if you want to kind of create a successful business, you can potentially spend a lot of them on something where yes, of course, you're going to deliver that story regularly, but the message is not really crafted to any kind of audience. Therefore, it's lost in a vacuum of so much ideas. I mean, if you don't strike the right chord immediately, what would actually push someone to consider you, to follow you, and continue having discovering your brand? So it's all about that.
Yeah. Having a passion. So you said three things. You said the passion, then you said something else, and then
The story.
the story,
Story, the
and then
story.
taking it to the market.
Yes, and then the execution, and finding the execution that fits with as I said, where you're good at, what's gonna be easy from easy, like where you thrive, where you got the right skills, and what's gonna resonate with the market.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Well,
in this
that's
kind of you know, the ikigai, this
yes,
Japanese concept, because if you're good at something and it doesn't take you much to kind of deliver it, but basically there's no markets, then you're missing something. Vice versa, there's a market, but you're really dragging feet in terms of communicating your story, or your positioning is unclear. You need these three elements to be kind of working in conjunction to, yeah, I mean, put everything on the right side of the table to be successful.
Well, that's the perfect segue into Etienne. I'd love to hear to the audience if you could share a message or let's say a recommendation.
Yeah.
How do you think everyone should spread serotonin today? What's one thing they can do?
One thing that people should leave the podcast with is we can all own something. And it's back to the coaching. Don't wait for others to tell you where you can play a role or give you the permission or whatever. Be active. Anyone can actually have a positive contribution to oneself, to our community, and to the wider world. And I think this is this message that do it every day, small things, step by step, but be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself and be your own owner.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, there you go, everyone. Think about what you want to own today, how you can own it, and think about Etienne's 3-step strategy. And thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks, Seema, and really appreciate your energy.
Appreciate
For me, you're the true incarnation of someone who doesn't wait for others to give you the permission. You love something. You're thinking about multiple activities, not just one, and you execute and listen to others for feedback. So really love that. So
yeah, and I'd love to hear your feedback on how you found today. We'll chat.
we'll chat about it.
But is there anything you want to shout out your coaching program, or if anyone wants to reach out?
Yeah, I'll share maybe the link in your podcast if you want afterwards.
Yeah.
And one last thing, a lot of people think coaching is not for me. I don't have any problems. You know, like you go to a shrink. I mean, if there's one thing people should remember, we all need help from anyone. And having someone, as I said, that can hold a mirror, help you frame a problem, and help you accelerate the thinking is a gift to oneself. You know, here we have the education, but so people are ready to spend time on proper education to digest content. Let's face it. I mean, with AI, it's not about making sure that you're a genius, that you know everything about everything. I mean, the soft skills is really what's going to differentiate people in the future. And knowing yourself better is going to really serve you to be happy, feeling better. I mean, feeling more fitting into your life, and being more driven, being more in control in terms of where you want to go. So ask anyone for coaching introduction. The first half hour is usually free, and you can take it from there. And second thing, if I may, the last thing, coaching it's about mutual trust with someone. So if it doesn't work with someone, it doesn't mean coaching is wrong for you. It's just about it was not a good fit with that person in particular. Try
That's
again.
a good point. Yeah, I don't think I would have thought of that. It's like also in therapy, your therapist doesn't always. You're allowed to switch. You can choose a different one.
Exactly, and you should if it doesn't fit.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. This is your sign to look into coaching. Etienne's coaching. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good
Thank
day,
you.
everyone.
Bye
See you
bye.
soon.